Right, we're about to open. Okay,
This part of the show.
no. What am I doing here?
Idea.
I'm Dobie, you're not gonna miss.
Bring it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Sam C.
My name is Sam C. Hello, guys. No, that's not it. Save your applause for the good shit. So, hi. Well, let's get straight into it. If you can't tell from the name of this show, the way the design is, how I dress and how I talk, I'm of course gay. I don't know why I do the kick. I feel like I have to do the kick every time I come up to a group of people. Because the straight people see me do the kick and you guys go, that's a very gay thing to do. and gay people see me do the kick and they go, he's flexible. The straight LGBT people, the audience, all the lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transgenders, Malaysians, make some noise. Because God hates us all. So welcome to the show. This is going to be a show about me talking about being a gay performer in Singapore, my experiences through all that kind of stuff. There'll be laughs, there'll be cheers. It's going to be a good time. However, if any of you are a homophobe or homophobic, don't worry, this show isn't going to magically turn you gay by the end. That will happen lots. But if you are homophobic, don't worry, just sit back, relax, enjoy yourself. It's just an hour of your time, just have a good time. I actually have to make this caveat at the start of the show because when I was doing the show in Edinburgh, there was a really drunk old white British man like near the back of the audience. Halfway through, he just stood up and went, "You sir, objectionable! Your comedy is objectionable. Everything about you is objectionable." Which is a posh way of saying you're shit. So he had no idea what happened. He walked out of the show. I went out to the bars and asked him who the hell he was. Apparently he was at the bars yelling about the gays and the lesbians ruining everything. So clearly a homophobe. Why would the fuck would he come to my show? And then we realized what had happened. I had flyed him earlier in the day and I said, "Hey, come to my show. It's a show about me coming from a country where it's illegal to be gay." And he thought that was the entire show. He saw this and went, "Ooh, right-wing comedy, let's go!" So this isn't a right-wing comedy show. No, this isn't even a left-wing comedy show. It's a nice centrist show. We're gonna laugh at ourselves, each other, and we can't take offense because these are just words, right? And words can't hurt us, right, gang? That's right, you stupid fucks. So, let's begin. When I've been doing this show, I've been traveling all over the world performing it, and surprisingly, some people don't know where Singapore is, or what a Singapore is, or who a Singapore is. We call them Americans. We gotta educate them. So I had to say that, we are Singaporeans. Singapore, country in Southeast Asia, tiny island city. We are primarily a banking country. We're one of the world's highest GDPs, yeah. But no human rights and a totalitarian governments. Basically, we are Switzerland but evil. Yeah, and this is how crazy it is. A few years ago, there was a magazine article that came out and did a review of Singapore. I didn't even know you could review countries like 4 or 5 stars of Yelp. They said we are a nice, safe, clean place to visit and live in. However, we have no human rights and we're always under the watchful eye of the government, and they described us as Disneyland with the death penalty. Imagine that, like imagine Mickey Mouse coming up to like, "Oh boy, capital punishment." This is the country I grew up in, and as you guys know, Singapore, we're very hard on the homosexuals, right? Not like that. We have a lot of anti-gay laws in Singapore. No, we ban everything in Singapore. We're the only country in the world that bans both gay sex and bubblegum. Like, how did they figure that out? Like, did they realize Singaporean men just hate the idea of putting anything into their mouths and then blowing it? Like, first blowjob joke of the show done. There's 20 more. Yeah, but that's the thing, I can do all these kind of like fun gay jokes, but like if the authorities show up, I have to say, oh no, this is just a gay character I'm playing. I'm a straight guy, I like the vagina. The reason for that is like if I'm gay on stage promoting gay stuff, you know, it's like sometimes it can be up to 2 years in prison and $10,000 fine for homosexual propaganda. Yeah, think of Stalin but gayer, that's me. So, I am gay, but for legal reasons I am not. But I am, but I'm not. But I am, but I'm not. Basically, I'm what you call Schrodinger's homosexual. I'm both in and out of the closet at the same time. If you didn't get the joke, don't worry, the joke worked and didn't work at the same time. So, I started comedy in 2012. I wasn't really out of the closet at that point, but then over time, I kind of got comfortable with it. I was an openly gay performer, like a few, and in fact, the only one at this point apart from Kumar in Asia. And I kept getting told, hey, you're not going to make it if you're openly gay, there's no way you succeed. And I kind of made it believe it because nothing was really going with the career. But then a few years ago, things got really good. I got to be on Singapore's first ever comedy panel show on TV. I was a permanent panelist every week, and they said, hey, you guys are the first, so don't be afraid. Say whatever you want, do whatever you want. Don't be afraid to be yourselves. So we got cancelled. That's just Singapore TV for you. Like, we have nothing good. I mean, that's why you are all here on a Saturday night. We tried to copy a TV show from America. We tried to copy the TV show Dexter. Know Dexter? And the movie like, oh, the serial killer, all the blood, and like, God, that was cool. That was him. We tried to copy that, but of course we fucked up. Because the name of our gritty serial killer TV show, it was called Derek. That is not a serial killer. That is a man with shingles. So we were doing our own TV show, we were doing it every week. It was a live broadcast, 0 seconds delay, 7:30, so that means everything had to be squeaky clean, and they made sure of it, because every week, before the show was on, we had to take every single joke, go up to upper management's office, and perform every single one of them to a censor from the Singapore government. Now, doing comedy for a lot of people, that's a very difficult thing to do. But doing comedy for one person, even harder. Doing comedy for one person from the Singapore government, whose full job title was Online and Media Content Regulator, which should have been shortened to Dream Crusher. We got into trouble because we made fun of our neighbours, Malaysia. Now, for those people that are here or people watching at home who might not know what a Malaysia is, I will describe them to you. They are our lovely neighbors to the north. Imagine Russia but with brown people. Some people having a good time, some Malaysians like, okay, that's true. This is how crazy Malaysia is. About a few years ago, they actually had a state-sponsored list on how to spot a homosexual man. Like we are birds or we are like Where's Wally or Waffle. Here was what was on the list. Number 1, they like to wear tight clothing. Number 2, it has to be V-neck. And number 3, they like to go to the gym and take pictures with their shirts off. This is not a gay man. This is The Rock. So these are the kind of crazy fuckers we are dealing with here. I made a joke on air about your Prime Minister at the time, Najib Razak. I say, oh, he's a bit of a thief, he's a bit of a thief. He's taking money from the people, keeping it for himself. He's a bit of a thief. And I got into trouble because I was correct. So he called our Prime Minister in Singapore. The Prime Minister called the station called the producer called us. We had to grovel on air, make a formal apology to Malaysia on TV, and because of that, we are the only TV show in Singapore history that has ever had to make a formal apology to another sovereign nation. And that is amazing because no other comedian can brag about that. Every other comedian in the world is like, well, I have 1 million followers on Instagram, or oh, I have a new TV show. Like, oh yeah, I started an international incident. Two world leaders know me by name for the worst reasons possible. Who needs to be on Netflix when you can be on your country's watch list? There's the censorship you go through, like speaking of Netflix, like the movie Straight Outta Compton is about to come up on Netflix. We all know Straight Outta Compton, right? A bio picture about the gangster rap group NWA, famous for the song Fuck the Police, right? Fuck the police, coming straight from the underground. A young animal got the back of the ground. And all the other colors, so police think got the authority to kill authority. Motherfucker. Yeah, I know, it is impressive when a Chinese person raps. But of course, it's going to come on. But of course, we're going to try to censor it, we're going to try to overdub it, or probably going to try to replace all the hardcore gangster lyrics with family-friendly content. So I'm so afraid that when you watch it on Netflix, all you're going to see in that pivotal moment is like, yo, ask what you got to say about that. Yo. Love and respect the police. Coming straight from the good parts of Singapore. A young African-American gentleman gotta pay because of ground, and not the other colors, so police think that they got the authority to prosecute and judge criminals and to pursue the subsection of the vice. Motherfucker! You guys are clapping because that was hard to memorize. That's the thing, if you do these kind of jokes in Singapore, if I do this show, I actually submit the script of this show to the government for approval to let me do this. If you do like a theatre show, submit your script to the government. If you do like a theatre, dance, song show, submit your script to the government. There is an exception though. If you do a magic show, you do not need permission from the Singapore government. You need permission from the Singapore Police Force. All of the magic in Singapore is controlled by the police. You need a police permit to perform magic in a public space in Singapore. To make Singapore the only place in the world that would do a raid on a children's birthday party. Kick down the doors of McDonald's, touch the clown, kick around the car, you don't have a permit for it. Yeah, but the thing is that the police don't just clamp on the arts. I mean, if you clamp on the arts, they also have to clamp down on the LGBT, which they do. They did that because, every other country in the world, most of them, is having pride events. They have pride parade when you march through town. We do not have a pride parade in Singapore because they're scared, if we march through, we're gonna spread the gay to everybody, like we're Ebola or Christianity. So, instead, we have a pride picnic every year. We gather in a park, it's called Pink Dot. We wear pink in the park, we have a good time, and when the sun goes down, we all turn on a pink hot light, forming a bright pink dot. It is a present machine, it's nice, it's sweet, and there's nothing gay about it at all, folks. Nothing gay about it. Nothing gay about a bunch of gay men showing up in a park at night and then flashing each other. But of course, there was clampdowns because we started to get really popular, more people were showing up, they had to do that. So they stopped all foreigners from attending the event. They put police cordons all around so that you should have your passport or your ICs checked. And they put a giant chain link fence around the park. So now we have gone from a pride event to a petting zoo for straight people. And because we had really good sponsors, but then they stopped our good sponsors, so we were only given the bad sponsors. And I mean the bad sponsors, because our sponsors at one point were Goldman Sachs and BP Oil. Yeah, those fuckwits. Like nothing says LGBT rights like a subprime loan and a dime cigar. Okay, some people do not know what the news is. Okay. No, but I I mean, I may come to the event, but don't think I hate Ping Dong. I love Ping Dong. I go there every year myself. I think it's important to have that because Southeast Asia was surrounded by a lot of heavily religious countries that can't have that. Like, you're not going to have a pride event in like Malaysia or Indonesia. You're definitely not going to have a pride event in Brunei. Like, you know what they call a pride event in Brunei? Rock concert. So, because they stone gay people in Brunei. I know this because I have had to perform in Brunei as an openly gay performer. Let me tell you, I mean it when I say, I'm very happy to be here today. This is what happened in Brunei. We had to do the show in someone's condo's function room, and I was labeled as a clown. Yeah. And if the authorities show up, my line of defense was, thank you for coming to my TED Talk, Hong Kong. Yeah, so that's what we have to go through as performers. That's why it's hard in Singapore, and not even just as a performer, as a human being. Because in Singapore, all of the males have to serve a national service, which is a compulsory conscription. When you hit the ages of 16 and 18, you have to serve in the army for 2 years. 2 years as a 16 to 18-year-old. And when you finish, they'll call you a national serviceman, because it sounds better than child soldier. And when you go to the army, you actually have to declare you're gay. If you don't declare and they find out, off the jail with you. But if you do declare, it's still bad because you get put into something called Section 302. 302. Here's what happens in Section 302. You get treated like you have a mental disorder. You're not allowed to hold government secrets. You can't rise to a high rank in the army. And this is true. They rank how gay you are. Yeah. There are 3 ranks of gay in the Singapore Army. And they are as follows. Minorly effeminate, severely effeminate. How do they tell? Like, minorly effeminate, you are wearing a dress. Severely effeminate, you designed it yourself? And the weirdest thing on the copy for that one is that if you are Section 302, you're not allowed to stay in the bunks with the other soldiers overnight because they're scared, you bomb them in and lower the moral standards of the troops. So how dare they think that gay people would wait till nighttime? What are we, vampires? I want to suck your dick, but the sun is not back. Lower job joke number 2. As myself personally growing up here, that's why it took me such a long time to sort of like be comfortable coming out personally, being a gay person. It took me a while to discover my sexuality. It took me even longer to discover about sex and all that. Like my first experience with sex was our neighbors. Not in a creepy way, because we had very thin walls so you can hear them doing the sex through, and when you have the sex, you say all kinds of things in the bedroom to get things going, like dirty talk, right? Oh yeah! Do me harder! Ouch, that's my eyeball! That one's for pirates. But my neighbors were Chinese nationals, so of course they would do the dirty talk in Chinese, so the guy would just always loudly yell out, 叫我皇帝! For the people that don't speak Chinese, don't worry. When China invades in 5 years' time, you will. 叫我皇帝 roughly translates in English to call me emperor. The fucking History Channel is there. How would you respond if somebody went, call me emperor, call me emperor? I would just go, which dynasty, which dynasty? Yeah, I'm bad at that stuff. I tried. One time I was in the bedroom with a gentleman twice my size, twice my weight, and I was like, oh, you know what? I will try a bit of that dirty talk, get him randy to talk about it. So I went up to him and was like, hey, what would you like me to do, big boy? And he went, Sam, I want you to make me your bitch. That's a bit mean. You disadvantaged. So I took away his healthcare. Let me try one of these things. Like personally, I have been online dating for many, many years. And I have been single for many, many years. Because no, I'm just not that good at stupid. There's a lot of like lingo in there that millennials use. Like, are you familiar with the term sapiosexual? Sapiosexual. That means someone that is sexually attracted to intelligence. Yeah, someone that would jerk off on a Rubik's Cube, those kind of people. Another one, wanderlust. When someone says they have wanderlust, they have a lust and desire to travel and see the world. And they should just say that because wanderlust sounds creepy. Wanderlust sounds like they get erections on aeroplanes. I can't have that because I fly Air Asia. If you get an erection on Air Asia, they will charge you for the extra baggage. Everything on online dating apps means the same thing. Like, I'm looking for coffees and chats. You're looking to fuck. I'm looking for a relationship. You're looking to fuck. I'm not looking to fuck. You're definitely looking to fuck. And I showed all this online dating stuff to some of the older comedians in Singapore, people in their 60s and 70s, like, hey, isn't this gonna be fun? It's gonna be cool. And he didn't like it because the baby boomers said, oh, you youngsters have ruined romance. You, Sam, your generation has ruined romance. Back in my day, we didn't have like our Tums and our Twitter. We actually had to talk to a woman in her face. Back in our day, we had to take her out in the town, show her a good time. Back in my day, we treated women like they were the object of our affection. I was like, that is not true, because back in your day, women didn't have the right to abortion or equal pay. You didn't treat them like the objects of your affection, you treated them like fucking objects. And our generation is not better, because millennials, we invented the dick pic. Pictures of penises sent to women's phones against their will. How the hell have women over the years gone from objects to photo albums? This isn't right. Instead of arguing which generation treats women better, shouldn't we, treat women better? So like taking the true human being thing out? Yeah, that's what I thought. But then I was like, hold on, I'm gay and they're getting more dick pics than I am. So fuck all you bitches. I got the online dating and just saying, truth be told, I didn't want to get anyone into what I was doing, because here's the thing, if I was doing a show in the region, if I didn't say I was gay, if I didn't do any of the gay jokes, hell, if I just had a nice, clean, straight set, if the authorities found out that I was on the show and that I was gay, everyone on that production could end up getting fined and jailed. And I didn't really want to bring someone into that lifestyle. It's really fucking tough. So I tried to just focus on being a better performer, because when you start out chasing your dreams like I did, I was shit. Here's an example of how shit I was. When I first started out, I had to do a show on Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. Now ask any performer around the world, Boxing Day is one of the worst days in the calendar year to do comedy on, because everyone in that audience is either drunk, hungover, or alone in life. That's why they were there on Boxing Day. That was why I was there on Boxing Day. So I'm later on the lineup. The first guy goes up. He's a professional headliner, AAA performer. He's doing his good stuff on stage. However, there is a drunk Indian man in the front row, and he is huge, gigantic. Think of the mountain from Game of Thrones, but Indian. That's how. If you don't watch Game of Thrones, think of a mountain, but Indian. Huge man. And he's talking to the comedian's talking back, they're getting laughs out of it. It's called banter. I've never seen banter before. And I, as an amateur backstage, was like, oh, I can do that. What's the worst that could happen? I'm a professional. So I go on stage, I go straight to the guy, and I go, hey, what did you do for Christmas, sir? And he goes, well, I was busy fucking hairy Indian women. Now, I didn't know what to say. I was an idiot at the time. So my response to that was, oh, so basically you were doing your mum? So clever, right? So witty. Take that, Oscar Wilde. What I didn't know at the time was that mums are sacred in Indian culture. You cannot insult an Indian man's mother. That's why one of the biggest insults in Indian culture is behin chod, sister fucker. Like, how dare you try to fuck my mother? Here's my sister. That's how sacred mums are. And I have just broken this sacred bond. And guess what, gang? He was not happy about it. He stands up and he starts yelling at me. Just to paint a picture, he's on the floor. I am on the stage. He is still taller than me. He's yelling, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna destroy your fucking life. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. Merry Christmas, sir. The MC comes, splits us apart, tells the guy to sit down, tell him, hey, this is just an open mic, these things happen. The guy acquiesced. I'm just in the corner like, Oh, I nearly died there for a second. I have escaped from my life. The MC then turns to me and goes, so Sam, do you want to do the rest of your set? And I realized that's all I had done on that night. My entire performance for that evening were, good evening, fuck your mom, I'm so sorry. I do the rest of the set shaking like a washing machine. I get off stage, grab my bags, try to run up the door, and then I see the mountain running up towards me. And I'm like, okay, time to die. The mountain apologizes, says, hey, he was drunk, didn't he? I apologize, saying I'm an amateur, I should have known better. We deal with it like adults. And like an adult, I go, hey, sorry about it, my name is Sam. And he goes, Sam, don't worry about it, my name is Razor. That information would have been helpful from the start. Maybe don't talk to the guy who's named after a murder weapon. So me and Razorblade have a good conversation, it's going, we have a few beers, he leaves, he goes, hey Sam, see you again Christmas. I could have lived well and good enough alone there. However, my dumb amateur brain was like, Sam, you nearly got into trouble by telling a dumb joke. You know how you can make things better now, Sam? Tell another dumb joke, Sam, what's the worst that could happen? So as he was leaving, I said, hey, see you, Razor. Don't forget, say hi to your mom for me. 3 months later, as I'm waking up from the coma, I learned that don't make fun of an Indian man's mother and don't do stupid things in comedy. However, I kept doing stupid things in comedy because I couldn't get a lot of mainstream gigs because so I had to get a lot of the non-mainstream gigs. I had to do a lot of what is known in the industry as corporate gigs. This is what a corporate gig is, how you go. You do comedy for big corporations for a lot of money, but nobody laughs and you go home and cry. Because that is the only time we can feel like true artists. I had to do one of the worst things of my life. I had to do comedy at a charity night for Deutsche Bank. I know, right? Doesn't it sound like a great idea, folks? I mean, who would have a better sense of humor than German bankers? I needed the money, so I had to do the gig. I show up over there. I'm the second act. I don't know who the first performer is, and I should have checked. Because all I know is that a very posh British MC kind of minces to the front of the stage and goes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Deutsche Bank Charity Night. Guten Abend. And we have some entertainment for you, some comedy later. But first, we have a dance troupe from House for Hope. Now these are kids that come from abused households, and they're going to dance for you tonight. Isn't that going to be fun? And I'm backstage like, no, that isn't going to be fun. Who the hell wants to watch abused kids dance? If I wanted to watch abused kids dance, I'd see the China gymnastic team. You know it's true and they're fucking cheating. You know it's fucking true. Either way, the MC was, ladies and gentlemen, please, welcome to stage House for Hope. Woo! And these 5 kids run onto stage and they start dancing. Of course, it's sweet, it's heartwarming, not a dry eye in the house situation. The MC returns shaken up by what he's feeling goes, ladies and gentlemen, that was House for Hope. Oh, they really do give you hope, don't they? They show you that we are going to make it as the human race. But it's time for some comedy. Please welcome Sam C. I come out with all the gay dick jokes. The crowd hated me. The only people in the entire audience that were laughing were the abused kids. Fucking Chinese gymnasts. And I kept going. I kept struggling in comedy, kept trying to make my career work. As an openly gay person, wasn't getting anywhere. And I was like, okay, maybe the people were right. Maybe if you were openly gay, you could make it. And then I got the TV show, and I got cocky, and I was like, yeah, I made it, suck my balls, I'm gonna live forever! And then the TV show got cancelled. And it's true, I literally went overnight from being on TV every single week in Singapore to having to work in a bar as a bartender to make ends meet. Yeah, that's a great blow for the ego, right guys? To go from, hey, catch me every Wednesday, 7:30 live on Channel 5, to, hey, here's your gin and tonic, that'll be $10.95. A fucking blow to the ego, and I kept thinking, well, maybe they are right. Maybe if you're gay, you try to do what you want to, you can't make it. But then this story takes an interesting turn because after that, I got offered to do a theater show. It was to support a sketch comedy troupe. It was a 3 nights in a 1,400 seater. I've never played to that many people before in my life. And here's the interesting twist. The guy who ran the sketch comedy troupe was the producer on the TV show. So we already knew each other. We had a good sort of relationship. And I asked him like, hey, can I say that I'm gay on the show? Like, I'm not gonna do dirty jokes. I'm not gonna go crazy. I'm not gonna make fun of Indian men's mothers. I'm just gonna keep it nice and clean. I just wanna, be myself on stage. And he went, Sam, of course you can. Like, we're friends, we're artists. Hey, you do you, and we will defend you no matter what happens. I was like, oh, that's so sweet, it's your funeral. So, I agreed to do the show. The show was a little bit weird because it's kind of a mix of two genres. It'll be like, the sketch comedy troupe will go up, do a sketch, then run back to change, I'll do a stand-up set, run back, we'll keep going like it's a carousel of comedy. But here's the thing, the theme of the show was back to school. Here's the thing, when a bunch of 40-year-old sketch comedians dress as school kids, it's hilarious. It's hilarious because they're all kind of fat, so the shirts are too tight, the buttons are flying off everywhere, the shorts are way too short, it's kind of silly, it's cute. When I dress like a school kid, I look like a school kid. It looks like they just kidnapped me from a primary school and they went, dance, funky boy, dance! So already I'm going into it with a handicap and all that. I go on stage on the first night and I go, hey, good evening, I'm gay, but not that dirty because, rights. I don't kill, I don't bomb, I do okay, like a 60%, like not enough to kill yourself. Like just nice, passing grade. So I go off stage, I go back to the green room to try to rewrite the material for the next 2 nights, and I see the producer marching up to me and he is pissed. He goes, Sam, what the fuck was that on stage? Why the fuck did you say you were gay? I thought it was fine, I thought I could say I'm gay, I thought we were like friends and all that. Sam, what the fuck would you do that? Did you know the government were in here tonight? The IMDA, the Media Development Authority of Singapore, were in the audience tonight. We could have all lost our license, we could have got fined, we could have all got a joke because your dumb gay ass couldn't shut the fuck up about it. I was like, but I thought you said you'd defend me, I thought we were like friends and all that. And he said this, well, things have changed, fag. We're not gonna fucking have you on this show if you keep this shit up. You're gonna get back in a fucking closet by tomorrow, or you're off the goddamn show, you're not gonna have a fucking career here. And then he left. Now, I would love to tell you that the next 2 nights I was pissed and I wanted revenge. And I was like, okay, let's sink this motherfucker into the ground. Like, I was gonna come out like a bright pink dress all the way to the ground, and like 10 rubber chickens, like, I love my cocks, and then like 10 giant inflatable dildos, like throw them at the ground, and confetti everywhere. Elton John was swooped down because of Beth Midler. That'd be nice, man. And in glory, like the good guys win, the bad guys wins, and everyone has a good time. I'd love to say this happened, but that's not what happened. What actually happened was that I went back to the green room and I just started to break down and cry. I had a full meltdown. Because here's the thing, when I started comedy, I wasn't comfortable even telling people I was gay. Comedy gave me the confidence to come out closet to tell people about that. And over the years, people have kept telling me I was wrong. My friends, my family, my own fucking country. And I kept trying to prove them wrong, and that night I just lost. It sucks being told constantly time and time again that you're worth nothing, that you're an abomination, that God didn't plan for you that way, and it just, it's just unfair. I remember I was crying in the theater for hours. They actually had to escort me out because they had to close the theater, so I was just weeping on the steps of the theater, just losing it. But then I remembered a few hours in, I was like, no, fucking no. I'm not gonna let anyone tell me how I should feel about myself. I'm not gonna let anyone tell me that I'm wrong or I'm different just because I'm gay. I'm not gonna let anyone define who I am. I'm gonna do it my damn self, and I'm not gonna let anyone make me feel that just because of it. I called the next day and told them I'm canceling the next 2 shows. I'm going on the fucking road. I picked up my bags and I started traveling the world, doing comedy anywhere they would have me as an openly gay performer. I paid my own way most of the time just so that I could be myself. I flew all the way in Asia, Australia, America. I brought this show to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, performed it for an entire month, brought it all over, and I have brought this show back here to Singapore. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, I am so fucking broke right now. What the fuck? Shit. Being myself. However, case in point, just because you're happy to be yourself doesn't mean you don't still fuck up. Because this is still me we're talking about. Because the first place I went to on this worldwide whirlwind tour was Malaysia. Now, here's at this point in the story, and this was just after the TV show got cancelled. So Malaysia was still very unhappy with me. There was genuinely a police warrant out to arrest me in Malaysia. But it's Malaysia, so they are fucking morons. Because the police warrant was out for arrest for a Sam Lee. Yeah, I know. It's hilarious, however, this also means somewhere in Malaysia there is a Chinese man languishing in prison going, I'm not the gay one! So I was really nervous about the thing, so I actually dyed my hair, changed my entire look. I flew into Malaysia, I got off the plane, airport to the train to town to hotel. I got there, safe and sound. I was like, yes! Malaysia hasn't fucked me over this time. And then I tried to get my passport to check in, and I realized Malaysia had fucked me over this time because my passport was missing. Now, I didn't know what to do, so I called my dad. And my dad and I do not have the best relationship in the world. Because my dad is an actual good human being. He is a straight man, he has a hard-working, good job, and he's also a staunch Christian. This is a pillar of the community. And I am gay, stand-up comedian, and I'm also an atheist. So I had to come out of the closet 3 times to that man. Like, hello, hello, hello! Like a Russian nesting doll of disappointments. Number one time I told my dad I was a stand-up comedian and I was gay as well. He was more pissed that I was a stand-up comedian. He was like, oh, Sam, this is an abomination to God. And I was like, but Dad, I was born to be a comedian. He was like, Sam, no one's born that way. You know what the Bible says. The Bible says it's Adam and Eve, not 2 Jews walking to a bar. So that's the kind of heavy religious man we're dealing with here. I call him up and I go like, hey Dad, what do I do? Do I call the embassy? Do I call my embassy? How should I deal with this? And he goes, Sam, don't worry about it. I'm gonna take care of everything for you. I'm like, oh, thanks, Sam. That's really sweet of you. He goes like, Sam, you know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do? That's right, Sam. I am gonna pray about it. I'm gonna go to church, get on my knees in front of the pulpit and ask about your God for a miracle. And I was like, oh, thanks, Dad. Normally when I get on my knees, I ask for other things. But then he hangs up the phone to go pray to Jesus. I hang up the phone to plan my new life in Malaysia. Here's the thing though, 20 minutes later, the cops show up, I thought to arrest me. And no, they were there to give me back my passport. They had found the passport at the side of the road, untouched, unsullied. My hotel details were there. They picked it up, came to the hotel, I happened to be at the counter, and they gave it back to me. Now, think of the odds. They had to be there at the right time, pick up the passport, not steal it for themselves, pick it up, look at the details, go to the hotel. I had to be there. The odds are astronomically low. You know what this means, right? Yeah, a miracle has happened, which means God is real, which means we are all going to hell. But I called my dad about it. He is ecstatic. He's like, see, Sam, God is real. Miracles are real. Are you going to convert, Sam? Are you going to convert? And I was like, no, Dad, I think I am going to convert. However, this miracle happened in Malaysia, a Muslim country. So I am going to convert to Islam. They're going to love my gay ass. So now I'm going to be a gay stand-up comedian and a Muslim. So it's going to be, hello, hello, assalamualaikum. But the travel was continued. After that, I traveled over to Indonesia, nice place. I had no police warrants out of my head there, so I know the country already. I did a show at the American Club when I was there. And I, for the first time in my life, was a victim of racism. Now, it wasn't the Americans, they were very nice, very sweet, very traditionally American. Like, hey buddy, how you doing? Here's a gun. Very American. The show was just a room full of white people as far as the eye can see, except for, to my chagrin, an Indian man in the front row. Now, I had learned my lesson from Razor. I knew to approach this man nicely. We were the only Asians. We had to make friends with each other. So I went up to him on the mic. I went, hey man, what's your name? Tell me about yourself. Shit you not. He looked at me and he did this. Which is fucked up. Now, if you are ever a victim of racism, please do not panic. Because I panicked. And when I panic, I fight fire with fire. So I tried to fight racism with even more racism. I was like, oh, you wanna go racist? You wanna go racist? Let's go, motherfucker. I put on the most offensive Chinese accent I could have mustered up, went up to the guy on the mic and just went, oh, hello, sir. You want me to make you rough? Well, I will make you rough. Ching chong, ching chong. I make your iPhone. I eat your dog. I kill baby dog. Ching chong, ching chong. All of the Americans were shocked because they went, fuck, I knew that's how they sounded like, but I couldn't say it. And that exact same show, the racism continued because the guy after me was a comedian from Hong Kong. And for some great reason, he pretended that he was Japanese. So he put on a fake Japanese accent. You know, when you say Japanese words in a low voice to try to sound racist. So the whole conversation just went, konnichiwa, sashimi, sashimi, sumo, sumo, hayunde, hayunde, hayunde. Which is just offensive, right guys? Because hayunde is a Korean brand. I went up to the MC after the show, who was a white guy, and I was like, hey, can you talk to him about it? That was really fucking racist. And the MC went, Sam, I don't know why you're so offended for. I mean, you guys like China, Japan, Singapore, you guys are all Asians, right? Aren't you Asians, you know, all the same thing? Yeah. And I got offended, like liberal offended. Like I have a Twitter and a blog offended. And I was like, how dare you, sir? How dare you group us together like that? Don't you know that we have our own language, our own culture, our own people? And to group us together like that, that makes you racist. You fucking racist American. And he went, but I'm Canadian. And I said, same thing. That was continued after that. My next stop on this whirlwind tour was Melbourne, Australia. Has anyone here been to Melbourne in this year? All the rich people, very nice. Now, Melbourne's a very nice part of Australia. It's a very liberal town though. They are very liberal. They are militantly liberal. Way too crazy. They have political correctness to the nth degree. Here's what happened. I was hosting a show there in Melbourne, and I started off the night by going, hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the comedy. I was like, okay, sweet, innocuous. I got in trouble because a Melbourne comedian came up to me and he went, I'm going to attempt an Australian accent. I can only ask for forgiveness, but it's not to sound like a New Zealand accent. I got to him and saying you can't say it, it's fucking offensive, it's fucking offensive, because some people don't identify as male or female, we need to respect that. It's like, okay, that's fair enough. I have friends who are non-binary, gender fluid, I want to respect that. So I said, what if I said, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all those in between. Saying you can't say it's fucking offensive, because some people who are outside the gender spectrum, we need to respect that. Okay, fine. What about good evening, human being? Saying you can't say it's fucking offensive, because some people identify as furries. Now these are people that think that they're animal spirits, like koalas or kangaroos or pandas. We need to respect that. Like, fine. What about good evening, living things? Saying you can't say that it's fucking offensive, because some people identify as vampires. And they're not technically alive, we need to respect that. Okay, what about good evening? Good evening. Saying you can't say that it's fucking offensive, because how dare you see what kind of evening they've been having, if it's good or bad. No, fuck you. Fuck you. Now, saying that's not fucking offensive. Welcome to Australia. So that's Australia for your asses. But the travels did give me some interesting stuff though. Gave me a very fun achievement that I still have to this day. Because of travels, I am the only gay and Asian comedian that has ever done jokes in the Middle East. Yeah, I know. Yeah, because if anyone can take a dick joke, it's a fundamentalist Muslims. Now, I was doing the show in Oman. Has anyone here been to Oman before? Why? Oman's a nice place. It's the most liberal part of the Middle East, which is, I say, the most liberal part of North Korea. But I did my research on Oman before I went, and I found a picture of their flag. Now, you learn a lot about a country based on their flag, folks, because of the symbols. Like Singapore, our symbol is the crescent moon, because we are a new nation, right? And the American flag is 50 stars and stripes, because that is the president's IQ. But doesn't matter who's gonna hold house, it always works. But the Oman flag is amazing. The Oman flag is two scimitars stabbing into each other and a curved dagger stabbing through the scimitars. There is 3 blades too many for 1 flag. If you saw that in a war, they are either going to cut your head off or they are sponsored by Gillette's. I told the this because like, Sam, don't worry, we're a modern society, we don't cut people's heads off anymore. Nowadays we just shoot them. It's like, oh, okay. So I went to Oman, I got to the gate, got to the basement of the hotel. I hadn't seen the audience, so I peeked through the curtains to see who the audience were. Let me tell you folks, they weren't just Muslim. No. They were Muslim. Like, Muslim. Because everyone in that audience was dressed in traditional religious Muslim attire. Yeah, so all of the men were wearing dishdashas, which is what Sheikhs wear with the sandal and the full robe, very proper. And all of the women were wearing burqas, the full veil of black, head to toe with just area for the eyes. And I saw that was my audience for the night, and I went, fuck. They're not gonna like the gay jokes. The book was like, Sam, just go on, you'll be fine. If you die, then you die, then I don't have to pay you. So, I get on stage and I start performing, and I realized something that I should have learned from being in Singapore. Like, the more repressed a society is, the more crazy they get at night. You know what I mean? Like, the more laws you have to follow in the daytime, nighttime you're tired, you just want to get down, you want to get fucked up. So I went on stage and I saw something no one has ever seen before in their life. I saw a room full of Muslim people drunk out of their minds. Like, yeah, a room full of Muslim people just drinking shots, doing beer. Everyone had a tower of beer at their table, 3 liters of beer. Guinness, Heineken, Corona. I do not need to tell you, when you mix towers in Middle Eastern together, things go down. So people were just drinking and partying and having a good time. Some people got their jokes, some people didn't. It's fine, we'll fix you up the show. Keep up. And basically, and I think it was interesting because I learned their word for, like a physical term for gay person, which is Khalif. So I went on stage and was like, if any of you are going to try to be homophobic, not going to work. Because when it's all said and done, you're going to be beneath the Khalif. And they went, he knows he is going to hell. And so are we, cheers, brother! And it was a great show, not because my stereotypes were going wrong. Not only did we all enjoy ourselves in this weird melding of cultures, but also I was able to make all the women in the burqas laugh. And it was great, not just for women's rights, but also, have you seen a woman in a burqa laugh? It's the best thing in the world. It's like a sheep blowing in the wind. Also, I did a joke in Oman to the women in the burqas, and they laughed at that. So if you're offended on their behalf, shut your ass. The show went really well, and I got on stage and I was going to head back to the hotel room. And then I saw 3 young Omani men came up to me, and they were gay, and they said, hey Sam, that was amazing. We've never seen anyone talk about being gay and stayed alive before. That was sweet. They said, hey, it means a lot to us to see someone like you talking about yourself. It was really cool, and they left. And I kind of understood how they felt, because I had them in Singapore. When I was younger, there wasn't a lot of gay representation on TV or in the movies. All the gay characters were like pops. They were just meant to be comedy characters, laughed at, they're eunuchs, they weren't human beings. But then I had my worldview change because I saw something that was different on a TV show called Glee. Now, I'll be able to tell you, yeah, I know, Glee was a terrible TV show. It was all like kids singing and dancing at random points. They made a kid in a wheelchair dance, like it's House for Hope or something. But there was a gay character in the show called Qamarul, and he was like other gay characters I've seen before. He had goals, he had ambitions, he was himself, he was proud to be himself, and yes, he had some of the stereotypes, but he was real. He had things he wanted to do, and he had a voice to be heard. And that meant a lot to me when I was younger. And seeing how the Omani men reacted, I was like, that's kind of why I put this show together. That's why I really wanted to do this entire hour, because I'll be the first one to admit, yes, it has been an hour of dumb dick jokes. It's been an hour of weird shit. It's been an hour of stories that may or may not have been true. It was all very fucking true. But it's important because, we don't get often have a chance to be seen or heard. Not often have a chance as a gay person in Asia to put yourself out, to be someone and be yourself in front of an audience. So that's why I did the show. And honestly, please, if you leave here today, please leave here today with just knowing 3 things. There's 3 things you have to know. Number 1, there are no refunds. Number 2, that diversity and representation matters, and what you do or say, or what you allow someone to do or say can make a big difference in the future. And take it from me, it was someone that was crying in the green room, it made the biggest difference to me. And number 3, and most importantly of all, please leave the knowledge that I am single and available. My name is Sam Theseira.